Dunk. I'll even just put the word answers on there instead of putting the silly name. And we'll zoom in. So it says, write the following in decimal form. Really, I don't care about that. I'm not going to test whether or not you can write that as a decimal. What I am going to test is, can you recognize a number as rational or irrational? And that's really what I want to see in the answer block here. I think you found this was irrational, symbol Q bar. I think you found this one was sorry, Mr. Dewick, that's real. Rational, symbol Q. I think the square root of, ooh, I got to check this one. The square root of 0.0016 is that. And then it says take the square root of that. Hey, this works out to 0.2. Is that a decimal that goes on forever without repeating? No. Then it is rational. How about this 1.12, 13, 14, 15? What's the pattern? 16. There is a pattern. Is there the same chunk of numbers repeating over and over and over? Then this is irrational. So 1 mark for each of those. Take the numbers and fill them into the diagram below. So to get full marks for the number, it has to be in the correct group. -5, you would put the -5 in the integer section somewhere. I'll put it there. If you put it in the W or the N or the Q or the Q bar, you don't get the mark. 8/2. Oh, what is 8/2 in lowest terms? This is really a 4. And a 4 is a natural number. It goes there. Works out evenly. √6, does that work out evenly? No, and it's a square root. We said if square roots don't work out evenly, they are irrational. There's going to be a √6 right there. 0.18, what's that? Well, it's a terminating decimal. That means it's a rational number. Goes in the Q section. The square root of 81. What's the square root of 81? What's the square root of that? Oh, this works out evenly. This works out to a 3. 3 goes in the natural number section, which also means it's whole and an integer and rational and real. 0, which one does 0 go in? Because you can remember it because 0 looks like a whole, even though it's spelled with a W, but whatever dumb way works for you. 2/3, that's a rational, because anything you can write as a fraction is rational. Pi, irrational. So give yourself a little score out of 8. Doink. Oh, 3 is down here still. Convert to a mixed radical in simplest form. √54 is √9 √6, which is 3 √6. I would say probably half mark for the 3, half mark for the √6, I guess. -3 √245. Okay. This is -3. I have no idea what 245 breaks down into, but I'm going to try perfect squares. Does 4 go into 245? How can you tell it's by glancing at it that 4 would be a silly try? Yeah, yeah, it's odd. I'm going to try 9. I'm not going to try 16 because if 4 doesn't work, 16 is 4 times 4. It ain't going to work. And I'm going to try, well, no, 25 wouldn't work because I think numbers that 25 goes into are 25s, 50s, 75s, and double zeros. So I'm going to try going 245 divided by 9. The next perfect square I would try would be 49. You can try 5, but what I'm saying is I don't waste my time with non-perfect squares. If I want to get there really, really quick, I try 4, 9. If 4 doesn't work, I won't try 16. 25. If 4 doesn't work, I won't try 36 because 36 is 4 times 9. If 4 and 9 don't work, 36 ain't going to work. You can really zoom in quick. This is √49 √5, which is really -3 times 7 √5. -21, half mark, √5, half mark. 3 over 8. Ah, fraction. Shut up. It's easy. Just remember that the 8's on the bottom, like that. Root 320. I know 16 goes into there because there's a 32 I see hidden in there. 20 is what times what? 4 times 5. 16 works and 4 works. I think 64 is going to work. Do you see how I got the 64? 16 works and 4 also still works after that. What is 4 times 60 times 16? 64. I'm going to retry this one. I'm going to go 320 divided by 64, and I get, this is root 64, root 5. If you wanted to get there in one step. You can still hopscotch your way there, Halen, if you tried 4, and then 4, and then 4. That would get you there too, but I'm lazy. This is really 3 times 8, root 5 over 8. What's 3 times 8? 24 divided by 8. This is 3, half mark, root 5, half mark. Root 50, hey, I like this one. This is root 25, root 2. This is 5, root 2, half mark for the 5, half mark for the 2. Root 80, this is root 16, root 5. It's 4, root 5, half mark for the 4, half mark for the root 5. Letters. This is root x to the 6th, root x. Is that still x to the 7th in disguise? And this is root a to the 4th, root a. Is that still a to the 5th in disguise? Yep. But I can take the square root of that, and I can take the square root of that. The square root of x to the 6th is x cubed. The square root of a to the 4th is a squared. And there's going to be a root x and a left behind, although I would probably write it alphabetically as a squared x cubed root x, just because I'm used to writing them alphabetically, but I'll take whatever. There should be an a squared and an x cubed in front, half mark, and a root xa in the middle, half mark. Number 4, convert to an entire radical. Now we're going backwards. Now what I need to realize is that 3 came from a root 9. It's really, well, 10 times 15 would be 150. 9 times 15 would be 135. That. B. Ah! No, relax, relax. Mr. Duick said to remember that the 3 and the root 10 are on top, and the 2 is on the bottom. That's my first step. How would I write 3 as a radical? That must have come from a root 9. Yes? And there's already a root 10. What root must have been on the bottom if I ended up with a 2? Root 4. So I end up with root 90 over 4. Now, if you have that, I'm going to give you a half mark, a 0.5. That's a fraction. What is 90 over 4 in lowest terms? Okay, so there's a fraction left in my square root. Suck it up. So for a whole mark, root 45 over 2. Now, I hadn't done one, Halen, just like that with you. That was me being sneaky, except did I really do anything new there? And one of the skills you need to pick up this year, Carmelina, I cannot predict every question on the provincial. I've tried. The Math 12 provincial, I used to be pretty good at predicting most of them. The Math 10 one, it's a new course. There haven't been enough around, and we don't get to keep them anymore. We used to be able to keep the old exams, and we can look through them. All I can say, Sarah, is one of the skills I need to give you is the ability to think fast on your feet. To say, well, I'm going to be stubborn and clever. And that was an example of it. C. Root 9, root 6, root 54. Oh yeah, because that's what I got right over here when I simplified root 54, didn't I? I got 3 root 6. It's the same question going backwards. 6 root 2. Root 36, root 2, this must have been root 72 originally. Turn the page. All right, a little Pythagoras action. I'm going to write down a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And it looks like they're trying to get me to find that, which means I'm going to have root 5 squared plus root 7 squared. And that's going to get you, if you wrote that down, a half mark. If you got the right answer, you'll get full marks. But if you don't get the right answer, you can give yourself a half mark for that line. What is root 5 squared plus, first of all, what is root 5 squared? What's root 5 times root 5? It's root 25. Okay, I'll go with that. And Rob took a shortcut in his head. Rob actually said in root 49, hey, Mr. Dewick, Rob, what did you notice? What is the short way to do root 5 squared? You know what? Squaring a square root, those two operations cancel each other out. And basically, you just have what's left inside. The square root of 5 squared is just 5. Or the square of the square root of 5 is just 5. In fact, this gets you a half mark, by the way, if you wrote that. If you didn't, but you get the right answer, you're still fine. In fact, you get this. 5 plus 7 equals x squared. You get x squared equals 12. That gets you a half mark. How to get rid of a squared? I think 2 root 3. Yep, that gets you your final half mark right there. Now, if you got 2 root 3, you get 2 out of 2. But if you didn't get 2 root 3, this is what I would look for if I was trying to give you part marks. That's why Haley and I always say, in your homework, try doing stuff on your head if you can. I think it's great. Tests and quizzes always show work, right? Because you might make a mistake. Doing okay, Rachel? Yep. Good, then shut up. 2. Nasty. I really debated this one. I almost made it worth 1 mark just so it didn't penalize you, but it's a long question. So let me talk you through it. We're going to do Pythagoras twice. What are they asking us to find, Jake? What letter? X. X. Piece of cake. Well, eventually. To find X, I'm going to use this triangle here. The problem is, to do that, I need that side, which is that side. And to find that, I'm going to use this small triangle here. There's 2 triangles in here. So first I'm going to find y, then I'm going to use y to find x. My equation for y is going to look like this. Root 7 squared plus y squared equals 5 squared. 7 plus y squared equals 25. How would I get the y squared by itself? Minus the 7? I totally agree with you, except I'm going to do this, I think, Mr. Dewick. Let's take this, and let's move it down to here, underneath that triangle. That makes more sense. I'm going to get y squared equals whatever 25 minus 7 is, 18. Y equals root 18, 3 root 2. If you got that 3 root 2, that gets you 1 mark. If you had that somewhere. Or you had the root 18, because I didn't say you had to simplify it. I did anyways. Now, I'm going to go up to this triangle. Knowing that this is 3 root 2, I'm going to get 3 root 2 squared plus 6 squared equals x squared. This is going to be a 36. Ready for a shortcut? 3 root 2 squared is a quicker way to do it. What's 3 squared? What's root 2 squared? Rob just pointed that out to us. Root 2 squared. Okay, so ready? Let's try this again. What's 3 squared? 9. What's root 2 squared? This is really 9 times 2. This is really, which I think is what you were telling me, but I wanted to walk through the steps. If you don't like that, you can write it out twice like we did in our homework, and we said it's 3 root 2 times 3 root 2. You'll get 9 root 4. Root 4 is 2. You get 9 times 2. It is 18. Yeah?
Is it
25 minus 7?
Oh, it's minus. Oh.
Right? You would minus 7 from both sides. You would go... Okay. Now I get 18 plus 36. 18 plus 36 is 54. So x is going to be the square root of 54, which is root 9, root 6. I think I've done this like 3 times on this quiz already, haven't I? I think it's 3 root 6. If you have that, that gets you your second mark. Or if you got that, you get 2 out of 2, but I would give 1 mark if I saw the 3 root 6 final answer, 1 mark for the 3 root 2 if I saw that along the way. A couple more, we're done. Carmelina, what was your question? 3 root 6. I can put this up later, or you can print it up at home and try it yourself. No, I never put anything on my website at all because I think it's a waste of time. Yes, everything goes on there. I'll show you where it is later. By the way, Jordan, I put blank copies of these quizzes on the website. Great practice before the test. Print up the blank copy of the quiz because in 3 or 4 days you'll have forgotten the questions anyways. Hey, that's a great little pre-test to give yourself. And there's a handwritten answer key online that you can check your answers, as well as a video answer key online. Wow, that'd be a great way to study. Start taking advantage of it, folks. This is going to be 7. What kind of a root is this? So now if this was square root, I would write that as root 4, root 10. It doesn't say square root, it says cube root. I'm looking for the perfect cubes. Now the perfect cubes are 8, 27, 64, and 81. 2 cubed, 3 cubed, 4 cubed, 5 cubes. Those are the ones I have up here. 81 is not a perfect cube, Mr. Dewick. 125 is a perfect cube. Nice try. I can write this as cube root 8, cube root 5, which is still cube root 40. I can write this as 7 times 2, cube root 5. I can write this as 14, cube root 5. Half mark for the 14, half mark for the cube root 5. B. This is going to be negative 2, cube root of 125, cube root of 2, because 125 times 2 is 250. Again, if this was square root, I would have written that as 25 times 10. It's not. Cube root. This is going to be negative 2 times 5, cube root 2. It's going to be negative 10, cube root 2. Half mark for the negative 10, half mark for the cube root of 2. So this quiz is out of, count 'em, 28. Can you put a little score out of 28 in the top right corner so that I can clearly see it? So from assignment 4, questions from the homework. Answer keys are floating around, but I'll do a few of these. 10F and 10G. How about I do 10G, which will probably, well, no, I'll do 10F, and then I'll say that might get you started on 10G. Okay? This is nasty. First of all, it says it wants you to express it as a mixed radical in simplest form. All right. This puppy here. I already have the 7 in front. and the p cubed and the q squared. It's square root, so I'm going to write the 27 as what times what? Root 9, root 3. I'm going to write the p to the 5th as what times what? P to the 4th, p to the 1, and I'll put the 1 there for the just once. And how would I write q to the 6th? Ooh, is q to the 6th a perfect square already? It is. Who asked me this one? Who asked F? Cool. So far, so good. So I'm going to end up with, I already have in the front a 7, a p cubed, a q squared. And I'm also going to end up with a 3 square root of 9. Right? By the way, Cole, for something this complicated, I'd probably go on this line something like this. I took care of that, I took care of that, I took care of that. Square root of 9. What other perfect squares do I have? Oh, this guy, but I'm not going to write square root of p to the 4th. What is the square root of p to the 4th? It's going to be a p squared in front. Yes? And this is also a perfect square here, but I'm not going to write square root of q to the 6th. I'm going to write, what is the square root of q to the 6th? Q to the what? Yep. And then left behind, I have whatever's not crossed out. A root 3 and a p. Is that okay so far? Now let's just tidy up the front. I got a 7, I got a 3. Jack, quiet please. That's a 21. How many p's do I have in front grand total? 5 of them. How many q's do I have in front grand total? Also 5 of them. And left behind inside the radical, that there. That's, I think, probably harder than I'll ask on the test. Or if I did ask one of those, it'd be like one of the last questions. I'm not going to give you like 10 of these. Is that okay? So try the same thing, by the way, for G. Break up the 242 into what times what? X to the 9th is going to be, I think, x to the 8th times 1. Y to the 10th is a perfect square, because the square root of y to the 10th is y to the 5th. Any others? Okay, I got 2 things for you to work on.